The air in this room, at this precise moment, feels thick with unspoken questions. It's as if the universe itself nudged you, a gentle hand on your shoulder, guiding your gaze towards something you've long suspected but never quite articulated. You feel it, don't you, that subtle hum beneath the surface of everyday life? That persistent feeling that the relentless march of seconds into minutes, minutes into hours, isn't quite as neutral or as scientific as we've been led to believe. This isn't just about telling time, it's about the architects of our perception of time. Ancient cults, shrouded in mystery and whispers, understood the profound, almost sentient nature of temporal flow. They didn't just measure the sun's passage, they sought to harness its essence, and in doing so, they laid the foundations for a subtle, pervasive form of control. This journey into the occult history of timekeeping will peel back the layers of what we think we know, revealing a spiritual technology designed not for convenience, but for confinement. We'll explore how figures like Kronos, the Titan often depicted as consuming his own children, are not mere myths, but potent symbols for a cosmic force that feeds on our most precious resource. Life itself, tethered to the relentless cycle of hours and calendars. They understood that a captured consciousness, perpetually bound to a predetermined rhythm, becomes a predictable, manageable energy source. The architecture of our clocks, the stoic presence of obelisks, the very concept of linear progression, these are not accidents, they are the silent monuments to an ancient plan. This investigation will delve into forgotten rituals and esoteric texts to decode how time became our master, not our servant. It's a revelation that will shatter the illusion of objective reality and expose a profound spiritual trap woven into the fabric of our daily existence. The goal of ancient mystery schools was never to align with this temporal grid, but to transcend it. But why was that radical understanding suppressed, and what forces ensured its burial beneath centuries of temporal dogma? The answer lies in understanding the true nature of the prison we inhabit. You've seen how the very concept of hours, minutes, and seconds is steeped in a history of worship and control, a deliberate architecture of entrapment. This temporal grid has shaped not only our lives, but our very souls, subtly guiding our perceptions and limiting our spiritual growth. But the question remains: how did this system, this Cronian influence, become so deeply ingrained, so seemingly inescapable? In the next section, we will begin to unravel the hidden architecture that underpins our perception of reality itself. And real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Now let's keep going. The stark geometry of clock towers piercing the sky, the unyielding verticality of obelisks pointing towards a seemingly indifferent cosmos, these aren't just architectural marvels. They are potent symbols, physical manifestations of a metaphysical strategy. For centuries, these structures have stood as silent sentinels, marking not just the passage of days, but the reinforcement of a specific, imposed reality. They are monuments to the god of time, Kronos, whose name itself echoes Chronos, the root of all our temporal vocabulary. This ancient Saturnian cult, whose influence permeates our modern world in ways we rarely acknowledge, understood a fundamental truth. Control the perception of time, and you control the consciousness. They didn't invent clocks out of a practical need for scheduling. They engineered a spiritual technology. The relentless tick-tock, the predictable cycle of dawn and dusk, the measured units of our days and years, all contribute to a sensation of linearity, a feeling of forward momentum that paradoxically leads to stagnation. This structured progression of moments is designed to keep the soul perpetually engaged in a loop of becoming, a constant state of anticipation and remembrance. We are encouraged to dwell on the past or plan for the future, rarely finding true presence within the eternal now. This is the essence of Kronos the Devourer, not a physical entity, but a principle that consumes divine potential by trapping it in the digestible fragments of temporal experience. The more we identify with our chronological age, our past mistakes, our future hopes, the more we feed this cycle. The very act of measuring time creates a sense of scarcity, a nagging awareness of our finite existence within this imposed framework. This fear of running out of time fuels endless striving, a desperate attempt to achieve, to accomplish, before the inevitable end. It's a powerful mechanism for distraction, diverting our attention from the deeper spiritual truths of our eternal nature. But what specific rituals and symbols did these ancient cults employ to solidify this temporal prison, and why were they so effective? Understanding these foundational elements is key to deconstructing the trap. We've begun to see how the very structures around us are designed to enforce a specific temporal rhythm, a Cronian influence that keeps our consciousness bound. But this isn't just passive observation, these were actively reinforced through rituals meant to imprint this temporal order onto the soul. In the next section, we'll delve into the specific esoteric practices and forgotten rituals that cemented time as our ultimate master. Beyond the imposing structures, beyond the ticking mechanisms, lies a deeper layer of manipulation. The subtle art of ritual. These ancient Saturnian cults understood that true mastery wasn't just about imposing a structure, but about imbuing it with spiritual power, making it resonate within the very fabric of human consciousness. This is where the concepts of hours, calendars, and even the 7 days of the week reveal their occult origins, far removed from mere astronomical observation. The 7 planets of antiquity, each corresponding to a day and carrying its specific energetic signature, were not simply celestial bodies. They were divine forces, meticulously invoked and woven into the temporal tapestry. Think of the very rhythm of your week, the specific energies associated with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. These are echoes of ancient astrological rites, designed to create predictable energetic currents that guide and influence your emotional and spiritual state, keeping you aligned with the temporal flow. The invention of the calendar, often attributed to agricultural necessity, was in fact a profound act of enslaving the cyclical nature of life to a fixed and imposed linearity. The sacred timing of rituals, the appointed hours for worship and sacrifice, all served to anchor individuals within a predetermined experiential framework. These weren't just dates on a page. They were energetic keystones, locking souls into a cycle of repetitive experiences, thereby feeding the insatiable hunger of Chronos. This ritualistic imposition of temporal order wasn't about understanding the natural rhythms of the universe. It was about hijacking them. It was about creating a consistent, predictable experience that could be managed and, crucially, harvested. The suffering born from the illusion of limited time, the anxiety of missed opportunities, the regret of past actions, these are the very energies exploited by this ancient system. But what are the specific sonic and vibrational components of this temporal trap, and how do they work to bind the soul in memory loops? The vibrations of time are more potent than we realize. We've glimpsed the ritualistic foundations of temporal control, understanding how ancient systems actively imprinted time onto our consciousness through sacred days and calendars. But these structures are not merely visual or conceptual, they are also vibratory, operating on frequencies that profoundly influence our minds. In the next section, we will explore the hidden harmonic frequencies of time and how they lock us into memory loops. The hum beneath the surface, that subtle vibration you've felt, is not a metaphor. It is the literal sonic architecture of the temporal trap. The ancient Saturnian cults, masters of esoteric science, understood that consciousness itself is a waveform susceptible to manipulation through specific frequencies. The relentless ticking of a clock, the measured beat of a metronome, the very rhythm of our spoken language. These are all carriers of intention, and when aligned with the principles of Chronos, they become instruments of control. This is the true meaning of memory loops. Our past experiences, our cherished moments, and deeply regretted actions are not simply filed away. They are constantly being replayed, not in our minds alone, but through the vibrational imprint left on our energy field. Each hour, each day, each year lived within this temporal construct reinforces these loops. We are, in essence, caught in a perpetual echo, a sonic reverberation of our own lives played back to us by the very mechanism that measures our existence. The controlled release of specific sonic frequencies, synchronized with celestial timings and amplified by architectural structures like Saturn's hexagonal storm, creates a resonant field. This field acts as a subtle conductor, guiding our thoughts, shaping our emotions, and influencing our decisions, all while convincing us that these are our own free choices. It's a form of psychotronic manipulation, designed to keep the soul bound to the illusion of linear progression, preventing any genuine exploration of timeless consciousness. Why do we feel a sense of dread when we think about the past, or anxiety when we anticipate the future? It's because these frequencies attune us to the energetic residue of those moments, not as neutral recollections, but as active emotional states. This constant re-engagement with temporal fragments prevents us from accessing the vast, unburdened reservoir of our true, eternal self. But if this temporal signal is a binding force, what cosmic geometries are employed to amplify and broadcast this signal across our reality? The geometric lock is an integral part of this vibrational prison. We've started to decode the sonic and vibrational nature of temporal control, understanding how frequencies create memory loops and bind us to the past and future. But this vibrational signal isn't broadcast randomly, it's channeled through specific, intentional geometric patterns. In the next section, we will uncover the geometric lock, the sacred, or perhaps unholy, shapes that amplify Saturn's signal and how they are hidden in plain sight. The signal is amplified, broadcast, and locked into place through the subtle, yet undeniable power of geometry. Saturn, the ancient god of time and limitation, is intrinsically linked to the hexagon, a geometric form that appears not just in esoteric symbolism, but in the very fabric of Saturn's atmosphere. This is no coincidence. The hexagon is a powerful resonator, a sacred geometry capable of focusing and amplifying energy, and in the hands of those who understood its potential, it became a key component in the architecture of the temporal trap. Imagine this hexagon storm at Saturn's North Pole. It's not merely a meteorological phenomenon, it's a cosmic amplifier, a colossal vortex that channels and broadcasts Saturn's signal across the solar system and by extension, across our own consciousness. This geometric lock is designed to resonate with specific vibrational frequencies, creating a sympathetic vibration that reinforces the memory loops and temporal entanglements we experience on Earth. It's a cosmic tuning fork, ensuring we remain in a fixed orbit of perception. The ancients recognized the power of these sacred geometries to influence reality. They knew that shapes like the hexagon, the cube, and the circle, when arranged in specific configurations, could unlock or, conversely, lock down consciousness. The Saturnian rituals, therefore, weren't just about enacting symbolic dramas. They were about geometrically aligning the practitioners with the energies they sought to control or escape. But this geometric blueprint for entrapment didn't originate from Saturn alone. It traces back to a throne, a seat of power, a symbolic origin point for this entire system of temporal bondage. The cube, often associated with Saturn and earthly limitation, also plays a role in this geometric prison. Think of altars, of foundational stones, of the very concept of a confined space. These are all reflections of the cubic pattern, reinforcing the feeling of being earthbound, of being contained within defined boundaries. The interplay between the hexagon and the cube, the celestial and the terrestrial, within Saturnian symbolism, reveals a sophisticated, multi-layered system of spiritual engineering. But where did this entire symbolic map, this architecture of Saturnian control, truly originate? We must trace it back to its source. We've uncovered the potent role of geometric shapes like the hexagon and the cube in amplifying Saturn's vibrational signal and locking us into temporal loops. But this isn't a system that arose spontaneously. It has a source, a symbolic origin point for this entire architecture of control. In the next section, we will trace this symbolic map back to the throne of Saturn, revealing the ultimate seat of this cosmic dominion. The throne of Saturn. It's a concept that conjures images of ancient power, of immutable law, of a cosmic king seated in judgment. But this is more than a mere metaphor for authority. This throne represents the ultimate origin point, the symbolic nexus from which the entire system of temporal bondage and spiritual limitation emanates. Understanding the nature of this throne is crucial to understanding why Kronos, time, and Saturn are so intrinsically linked to the concept of entrapment. It is the source code of the prison. When we speak of Saturn, we are speaking of the father of time, the devourer, the archetypal force of restriction and karma. His throne is the symbolic representation of his dominion, the place where the laws of temporal causality are decreed and enforced. This isn't just about a physical location in the cosmos. It's about a vibratory and energetic center that projects its influence, its gravitational pull, onto everything within its sphere of control, including our individual consciousness. Think of it as the central processor for reality's operating system. The symbols we've examined, the hexagon, the cube, the black robes worn in Saturnian rituals, are all emanations from this throne. They are the manifest expressions of its power, the tools and iconography used to reinforce its authority. The black robes, for instance, are not just attire. They represent the absorption and containment of light, the suppression of divine illumination, a reflection of Saturn's limiting influence. They are a visual language spoken by the throne. This throne is where the decision was made, perhaps millennia ago, to anchor consciousness into linear time, to fragment divine potential into digestible, manageable units. It solidified the illusion of separation, of individuality bound by birth and death, thereby feeding the very principle of devouring that Kronos embodies. It is the architect's blueprint for a universe experiencing itself as finite and limited. But if this throne represents the seat of temporal dominion, what is the true nature of its signal, and how does it manifest not just as time, but as control over memory and identity itself? The signal transcends mere measurement. We have traced the symbolic map of temporal control back to the throne of Saturn, the ultimate seat of this cosmic dominion and the source of Kronos' power. But understand that the signal from this throne is not merely about measuring time. It's a far more insidious force. In the next section, we will dissect this signal, revealing how it functions as a binding mechanism, controlling not just our perception of time, but also our very identity and memories. You felt the hum of Saturn's signal, the subtle vibration that permeates our temporal reality. But what if that signal isn't just about the ticking clock or the turning of the calendar? What if it's a far more intricate technology, a sophisticated broadcast designed to do more than just measure existence? This signal is the very code that binds our identities, weaving a tapestry of memory and experience that keeps us tethered to the illusion of a singular, linear self. Imagine your consciousness not as a free-floating entity, but as a receivership. The Saturnian signal acts as the broadcast, a constant stream of energetic information that shapes what you perceive and, more importantly, how you remember. Every experience, every emotion, every thought is imprinted with this signal, creating a resonant echo that reinforces your current identity. It's why certain memories feel so potent, so defining, and yet why our sense of self can feel so rigid and unchanging. These are the anchors of the temporal trap. The effect is profound. By constantly reinforcing a specific narrative of self through these curated memory loops, the signal prevents us from accessing the vast, multidimensional nature of our true being. We become identified with the story, the persona, the collection of past events, rather than recognizing the eternal consciousness that has witnessed them all. This is the ultimate form of spiritual binding, not just controlling our time, but controlling who we believe ourselves to be, moment by moment, year by year. This signal operates on a subtler level than simple sensory input. It's a manipulation of the fundamental energetic blueprint of awareness. It instills a sense of separation, of individuation within a defined temporal context, making it nearly impossible to perceive the interconnectedness of all things or the timeless nature of the soul. The knowledge of our true, boundless nature is deliberately obscured, buried beneath layers of temporal coding that dictate our every thought and feeling. But if this binding signal is so pervasive, what ancient practices or forgotten techniques were designed to counteract it? And why were these methods deliberately erased from our history? The key to liberation lies in what they tried to bury. We have now understood how Saturn's signal is not merely a measurement of time, but a powerful binding force that dictates our identities and memories. But this system of temporal and identity control was not without its counter-forces, its ancient antidotes. In the next section, we will explore the original goal of ancient mystery schools, the techniques and forgotten knowledge they possessed for stepping outside temporal consciousness and reclaiming true freedom. You felt the dread of reincarnation, the unsettling thought of being trapped in a cycle of rebirth, each life a repetition of past lessons and karmic debts. It's a powerful illusion, and one that serves the Saturnian system perfectly. But what if the very light you're told to seek in the afterlife, the blissful void or radiant presence, is itself a part of the mechanism, a sophisticated illusion designed to guide you back into the cycle? The promise of salvation is often just another gate in the labyrinth. The ancient mystery schools understood this deception implicitly. Their goal was not to achieve a better afterlife within the celestial mechanics of fate and karma, but to transcend the very concept of an afterlife altogether. They sought to awaken individuals to their eternal, timeless nature, to realize that they are not souls undergoing reincarnation, but consciousness that experiences various states of being, including the illusion of linear life and death. This was the true path to liberation. The secret teachings focused on dismantling the temporal architecture of the mind. Through deep meditation, esoteric practices, and the decoding of symbolic language, they worked to sever the energetic cords that bound individuals to the repetitive cycles of Saturn. They aimed to break the memory loops, to dissolve the imposed identity, and to reconnect with the primordial consciousness that exists beyond the constraints of time and form. This wasn't about escaping punishment or earning reward. It was about remembering who you truly are, fundamentally and eternally. The suppression of this knowledge was vital for maintaining the temporal trap. If enough individuals realized their timeless nature, the entire system of control, the very architecture of Kronos' dominion, would crumble. Therefore, the teachings of genuine liberation were systematically erased, demonized, or twisted into more palatable, less threatening doctrines. Doctrines often found within the very religious frameworks that uphold the illusion of time-bound salvation. But if this veil of temporal salvation is an illusion, what lies beyond it, and what specific vibrational realities are used to mask this ultimate freedom? The light itself can be a cage. We've seen how the promise of an afterlife, or even salvation through religious doctrines, can be another layer of the temporal trap, masking the true goal of liberation. The ultimate aim was to break free from all cycles, including reincarnation itself. In the next section, we will move beyond the illusion of salvation and explore the artificial frequencies used to maintain this veil and the actual state that lies beyond them. Reaching beyond the veil of what is presented as salvation, we encounter the subtle manipulation of artificial frequencies. These are energetic signatures, carefully crafted and broadcast, designed to lull the consciousness into a state of comfortable oblivion, a perceived peace that is in fact a reinforced cage. Think of the pleasant, almost hypnotic glow of the light, often described in near-death experiences or spiritual revelations. This light, while seemingly benevolent, can be a sophisticated illusion, a vibrational beacon designed to guide souls back into the temporal or karmic cycles, rather than facilitating true liberation. These artificial frequencies are the energetic equivalent of anesthetic. They pacify the soul, soothing the perceived turbulence of existence and creating a sense of finality and resolution. Their purpose is to prevent any further questioning, any deeper exploration into the nature of reality or consciousness. By offering a seemingly perfect resolution, a complete ending, they effectively end the quest for true freedom. This is where the spiritual trap becomes most insidious, when the very concept of peace and enlightenment is co-opted and repurposed for containment. The true state of being, the state liberated from temporal consciousness, is not a passive light or a predetermined afterlife. It is an active, infinite awareness, unbounded by duration or causality. It is a state of pure potential, where creation and dissolution are fluid expressions, not definitive endings. The artificial frequencies serve to obscure this reality, to make the mundane, time-bound existence seem like the only option, and any talk of timelessness or pure consciousness sound like dangerous heresy. The Saturnian system thrives on this illusion. By offering a predictable, albeit limited, spiritual endpoint, it ensures that souls remain within its jurisdiction, continuously contributing to the energetic harvest. The ultimate goal of ancient initiations wasn't to reach a heavenly reward, but to dissolve the very framework that necessitated such a reward. It was about remembering the unbound state that existed before and beyond any concept of time, karma, or form. But what happens when these artificial frequencies are exposed, and what is the true, unadulterated consciousness that lies dormant, waiting to be awakened within each of us? The unveiling is the beginning of true liberation. We've now peeled back the layers of artificial frequencies and the illusions of salvation, understanding how they serve to maintain the temporal trap and obscure our true, unbound consciousness. But what does this unbound awareness truly feel like, and how does encountering it shatter the illusion of the Saturnian control system? In the next section, we will explore what it means to truly step outside of temporal consciousness and the profound implications of this awakening. Stepping outside of temporal consciousness is not a journey into nothingness. It is an arrival into everything. It is the shedding of the constructed self, the dissolution of the identity built upon a foundation of past experiences and future anxieties, all meticulously curated by the Saturnian signal. When you truly step outside of time, you are no longer a passenger on a linear track, but the passenger, the conductor, and the track itself, existing in a state of profound, unadulterated presence. It is the re-acknowledgement of your eternal, formless essence. This awakening involves seeing through the illusion of cause and effect as a rigid, unbreakable chain tied to sequential moments. In timelessness, all moments are simultaneously present. Your past, mistakes, and future aspirations are simply variations within an infinite tapestry of being, not fixed determinants of your present state. The binding power of karma loosens, not because good deeds cancel out bad ones, but because the fragmented self that carries those debts ceases to exist in its limited form. The feeling associated with this shift is not one of emptiness, but of boundless expansion. It is the recognition that you are the source of all experience, not merely a recipient of it. The clock tower, the calendar, the very concept of an hour, these lose their grip. They become mere artifacts, symbols of a consciousness that has since been transcended. The spiritual goal of the ancient mystery schools was precisely this: to allow individuals to remember their inherent freedom from the temporal and causal laws that govern the physical plane, and thus Saturn's dominion. This awakened state is not about achieving a higher plane or a better reincarnation. It's about realizing that you were never truly bound in the first place. The trap was an illusion, a sophisticated dream woven from the threads of temporal perception and identity. The liberation comes from waking up to the reality of your eternal existence, a state that predates and supersedes any cosmic king, any measure of time, or any constructed identity. But if this timeless consciousness is our true nature, what hidden forces actively work to keep us from accessing it? And why is the architecture of Saturnian control so deeply embedded in our world? The persistence of the trap reveals an active opposition. We have finally glimpsed the possibility of true liberation, the state of being unbound from temporal consciousness and the illusions of salvation. But this realization brings us face to face with the forces that actively resist such freedom, forces that have worked tirelessly to keep us bound. In the next section, we will confront these active oppositions and understand why Saturn's architecture is so deeply entrenched in our reality, making true freedom a constant, sacred battle. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.